Hello, second grade. Welcome to day number 2 of your printing bootcamp. Today you will create a second painting using your stencil, and you will use the opposite color category that you used from last week. So in my last video, I showed you how to paint with the cool colors. Today, I'm going to make a painting with the warm colors. So if you started with the warm colors last week, today you'll use the cool colors. The first step is to make a new stencil or reuse the old stencil that you used in your first painting. If you need to make a new stencil and you forget how to do that, you can watch the video earlier in the boot camp that describes how to do this. Once you have your stencil made, you need a blank piece of white paper. You can find this at the printmaking center and simply write your name on it. So since I am doing the warm colors, the first color that I'll start with is yellow. You always want to start with your brightest color. Get your brush wet, but not too wet. Remember, we want more paint than water throughout the stencil boot camp. I'm going to hold that stencil down, work from the outside to the inside, and cover the entire surface of my stencil. Last week we said the magic number was 5 for the amount of shapes you should print per color. So I'll do one with you, and then you will see 5 more in just a second. Okie dokie, so I just finished all 5 of my yellow shapes. For my next set of shapes, I'm going to be using my second brightest color in my color category, and that would be the color orange, okay? So the first thing I need to do is really rinse my brush out, get all of the white, get all the drips on the lip, squeeze it along the side here, don't want to tap. And then swirl and twirl in my new color, pick up some orange, and then I can start painting with that. Remember, you are allowed to overlap your previous shape, so if you want to just paint it by itself in a blank white spot, that's fine. If you ran out of room and maybe want to overlap a couple of the shapes that you painted before, that's perfectly fine. Works the same way as your first color, paint outside to inside, use more paint than water, your brush should be on the drier side. And then fill that up with about 5 shapes of that color. Ran out of paint, so I'm going to get some more. There we go. We're in business. All right. So once I'm done with this one, you'll see about 5 more orange shapes in just a second. Alrighty, so I just finished all of my orange, and now I will end with my darkest color. So for the warm colors, it would be red, and for the cool colors, it would be purple. Just going to fill up any blank spaces that I have left behind, maybe even overlap some of my old shapes. Just got to make sure that my brush is nice and clean for my new color. I'll repeat this one more time, but again, you want more paint than water in your brush. If it's wet, you can run into some serious problems. You could have some of the paint leak out while you're painting and make a completely different shape than your stencil. It could be so wet that your stencil rips because it's so soggy. Or maybe you accidentally get a giant drip somewhere where you don't want paint. So there's my red. I'm going to go ahead and paint about 4 more of those, and in just a second, you'll see it all done. Alrighty, so here's the second part of my boot camp completely done. If you have finished this boot camp, you should have 1 painting of warm colors using a stencil, and you should have a second painting of cool colors using the same stencil, or perhaps you created a second one. Since this is wet, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this ends up on the drying rack. Your stencil, that is yours to decide what you do with it. You could take it home if you really like it, or you could throw it away if you think it's garbage. Either way, once you finish this boot camp, you are allowed to now use the printmaking center in your independent work.